Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. You ready to explore the fascinating world of human memory?
Always fascinating.
All right. Well, today we're diving deep into a lecture called Understanding How Human Memory Works. And it's jam-packed with
Hmm.
insights into how our brains actually handle information.
Yeah.
And this is perfect if you're prepping for an exam,
Hmm.
curious about the mind, or maybe just tired of forgetting where you put your keys.
Oh, that's the worst.
We've all been there, right?
Yes.
So get ready, because we are going to unlock some serious memory secrets.
We are.
Okay, so um, the lecture starts off by breaking down memory into three main categories.
Okay.
We've got sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory. So,
Yeah.
so what makes them different? What are we even talking about here?
So think of sensory memory as like the brain's first impression. Okay.
Yeah.
It's super brief, like the fading echo of a sound or maybe that fleeting image of a lightning strike, you know? It's just long enough for the brain to be like, hold on a sec, is this worth remembering?
So it's kind of like that filter that's deciding what's actually important enough to move to the next stage of memory.
Exactly. And that next stage is short-term memory.
Okay.
And that's where things get a little bit more interesting.
Okay.
Short-term memory, that's what we use to juggle information in our minds, like remembering a phone number before you write it down,
Yes.
or maybe following the steps in a new recipe when you're cooking.
Yeah, definitely. But we all know that short-term memory can be a little unreliable.
Yes, for sure.
Why is that?
Well, one key factor is its limited capacity.
Okay.
You've probably heard of this, the famous magic number 7 plus or minus 2.
Maybe. Refresh my memory.
It suggests that we can only hold like 5 to 9 pieces of information in our short-term memory at once.
Ah, that explains a lot.
Right.
No wonder I can never remember my grocery list without writing it down.
Yeah, we need that external memory aid, right?
I do. I really do. Yeah.
But that's where long-term memory comes in. This is where we store information for the long haul. Like everything from childhood memories to facts about the world to like how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is that long-term memory has like a virtually unlimited capacity.
So it's like our brain's massive storage vault, basically.
Yeah, you could say that. But even within long-term memory, there are like different categories.
Yeah. Break that down for me.
So we have explicit and implicit memory. Explicit memory is what we can consciously recall,
Okay.
like specific events or facts. For example, remembering your last vacation or, knowing the capital of France.
So it's the information we can actively access and talk about.
Yeah, exactly. You've got it.
Got it. What about implicit memory?
Okay, so implicit memory, this one operates behind the scenes,
Okay.
unconsciously influencing our actions and behaviors. So think about skills like typing or riding a bike. You don't consciously think about every single movement, do you?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I never really considered that as a type of memory. And it makes sense, right? Our bodies kind of remember even if our minds aren't actively focused on it.
Yeah, and that's just one example of implicit memory.
Okay.
There's also something called priming, where past experiences can subtly influence our current perceptions and responses.
Interesting.
Have you ever noticed, after you read a book about, say, pirates, you suddenly start noticing, pirate-related things everywhere?
Oh, that's happened to me. It's like your brain is just primed to see those connections.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty wild, right?
Yeah, it is wild. So we've got these different types of memory, but what's actually going on in our brains when we form these memories?
Okay, well, to understand that, we need to dive into the fascinating world of neurons and synapses.
Okay, let's do it.
Think of neurons as the brain's communication specialists. They're constantly sending and receiving signals
Okay.
and synapses. Those are the tiny gaps between neurons where those signals are transmitted.
So the brain is like a massive network of interconnected neurons.
Exactly. And the connections between those neurons, the synapses, that's where the magic of learning and memory happens. And we learn something new or have a new experience, these connections are either strengthened or weakened. And this process, it's called synaptic plasticity.
So it's not that we're growing new brain cells or something.
Not necessarily.
It's that the connections between them are actually changing.
Precisely. Imagine it like walking through a forest. The more you walk a particular path, the more defined and easy to follow it becomes.
Right.
That's kind of similar to how repeated activation of neural pathways strengthens memories.
So are there specific parts of the brain involved in this whole process?
Absolutely.
Okay.
One key player is the hippocampus. It's a seahorse-shaped structure, and it's deep in the brain.
Yeah.
It's like the brain's memory architect.
Hmm.
Super crucial for forming new long-term memories.
I actually remember reading about that famous amnesiac patient, HM, who couldn't form any new memories after his hippocampus was damaged, right?
Exactly. That case just highlights how essential the hippocampus is to our ability to learn and remember.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't work in isolation. Other brain regions, like the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, they also play important roles.
Okay, so what do those regions do in terms of memory?
Think of the prefrontal cortex as like the executive manager of memory.
Okay.
It helps us manage working memory, make decisions, and retrieve information from that long-term storage.
Gotcha. And the amygdala.
Okay, the amygdala, this is our emotional center.
Okay.
It plays a key role in forming memories that are emotionally charged, which explains why we tend to, vividly remember events that made us feel really strong emotions, whether they were positive or negative.
That makes sense, like a thrilling roller coaster ride or maybe a, scary encounter.
Mm.
It's more likely to stick with us than, a mundane trip to the grocery store.
Yeah, for sure. Our memories are a complex tapestry woven from, fact skills, emotions, all sorts of sensory experiences, right?
It's incredible to think about how all these different parts of the brain work together to create our, unique memories.
Yeah.
But how does it all actually happen? How do we go from experiencing something to actually remembering it?
Okay, so that process, it can be broken down into three main stages: encoding, storage, and retrieval.
All right, let's break those down.
Encoding, this is the first step. It's where the brain takes in sensory information
Okay.
and translates it into a format that it can store.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like translating a book from one language to another.
So we're basically taking the raw data of our experiences and, converting it into something that our brains can actually understand and file away.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. So what are, the different ways that our brains encode information?
There are actually several methods, and they often work together.
Okay.
There's visual encoding, where we process images, acoustic encoding, where we process sounds,
And semantic encoding, where we focus on the meaning of information.
So if I'm trying to, remember a new word, I could try to visualize it, say it out loud, and, think about its definition and how it relates to other words I know. Are some methods, more effective than others?
Research suggests that semantic encoding, focusing on the meaning of information, actually leads to the most effective long-term memory formation.
Interesting.
This is because when we connect information to, existing knowledge and create meaningful associations, it becomes more deeply embedded in our neural networks.
So it's like creating, a web of connections in our brains rather than just, isolated bits of information.
Exactly. You got it.
That makes a lot of sense. But once we've, encoded the information, where does it actually go?
That brings us to the next stage, storage.
Okay.
The lecture explains how a process called long-term potentiation, or LTP, strengthens the connections between neurons,
Okay.
making it easier for them to communicate with each other. So, the more we use those connections, the stronger they get, and the more likely we are to remember the information that's associated with them.
Precisely. It's like carving a message into a stone.
Okay.
The more you carve it, the deeper and more permanent it becomes.
Makes sense.
The hippocampus, it plays a crucial role in this initial storage phase. But eventually, many memories are transferred to the neocortex for long-term storage, freeing up space in the hippocampus for, new memories.
So it's like moving files from your computer's hard drive to an external drive for, long-term storage.
A perfect analogy.
I like that. But how do we actually access those, stored memories when we need them?
That's where that final stage, retrieval, comes in.
Okay.
There are two main ways that we retrieve information:
Okay.
recall and recognition.
Yeah.
Recall is actively searching for information in your mental filing cabinet. Let's say answering an essay question on a test.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pull that information from your memory without any cues.
Gotcha. And recognition.
Recognition is more like spotting a familiar face in a crowd. You're identifying something that you've encountered before.
Okay.
Think about answering a multiple choice question.
Yeah.
You're presented with options, and you have to choose the one that matches your memory.
That explains why multiple choice tests sometimes feel easier than essay tests. You have those cues to, jog your memory.
Exactly. It makes a big difference, right?
It does. But even with this, incredible system for encoding, storing, and retrieving information, we all know we still forget things.
Yeah, that's the mystery, right?
Why is that?
That's a question that has puzzled scientists for centuries.
Yeah.
And there are actually several theories that attempt to explain why we forget.
Well, I'm definitely curious to dive into those.
Yeah,
Let's uncover those
let's
mysteries
do it.
and discover how to harness the true power of our memory.
So let's dive into some of those theories, okay?
Okay.
One is decay theory, which suggests that memories actually fade over time if they're not used or revisited. It's like a path in the woods that gradually becomes overgrown if no one walks on it.
Right. Like use it or lose it, basically, for our memories.
Yeah, exactly. Think about that foreign language you learned in school but haven't practiced in years.
Oh, yeah.
You've probably forgotten a good deal of it because those neural pathways haven't been activated regularly.
Right, right.
Then there's interference theory, which proposes that new and old memories can, like, compete. And sometimes, causing one to overshadow the other.
Oh, like when you get a new phone number and then suddenly you're struggling to remember your old one?
Exactly. The new information interferes with the retrieval of the old information. And
Yeah.
sometimes the memories are there, but we just can't access them at that moment,
Yeah.
That's called retrieval failure. And it's the reason for that frustrating tip of the tongue phenomenon.
Oh, that is so relatable. Everyone knows that feeling of knowing, something, but just can't quite grasp it.
It's the worst, right?
It's like searching for a file in your computer
Yes.
that you know is there, but you just can't locate it.
Perfect analogy.
And of course, forgetting can also be caused by more serious issues like memory disorders.
Right.
The lecture mentions, conditions like amnesia, Alzheimer's disease, and dementia, which can have a really profound impact on a person's life.
Yeah, those are really serious conditions that affect memory.
Yeah. It's like a reminder of how precious and fragile our memories are.
Yeah.
But on a more positive note,
Okay.
the lecture also offers some, practical strategies for actually improving our memory function.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff in there.
So are these, just gimmicks, or are there, actual things we can do to boost our memory power?
There's actually a lot we can do.
Okay.
These aren't just like random tricks. They're science-backed techniques that anyone can use.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
What's an example?
Okay, so for instance, using mnemonics can be very effective.
Hmm.
These are memory aids that help us encode information in a more memorable way.
Okay.
Think of acronyms like ROYGBIV for the colors of the rainbow.
Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. It's so much easier to remember that sequence with the acronym.
See?
Yeah.
Exactly. Mnemonics work by creating vivid, engaging associations that our brains can latch onto.
Okay.
Visual imagery can also be a powerful mnemonic tool.
Great.
Let's say you need to remember to buy milk, eggs, and bread at the store, right?
Yeah.
You can imagine a giant carton of milk pouring into a bowl of scrambled eggs, perched precariously on a loaf of bread.
Okay, now that's just a hilarious image.
It works though, right?
It's definitely more memorable than just a boring list.
It is.
Another effective technique is chunking,
Right.
which involves breaking down information into smaller, more manageable pieces.
Yeah.
It's like how we remember phone numbers in groups of 3 or 4 digits.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to memorize the whole string at once.
It's too much.
It is way too much.
Chunking makes it easier.
It really does. Finally, memorize my credit card number by chunking it.
Yeah, see.
It's a lifesaver. What about those people who can memorize entire decks of cards or pages of text? Are they superhuman?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
They're likely using a technique called spaced repetition, which involves revisiting material at increasing intervals. So the idea is we forget things over time.
Okay.
But each time we relearn something, the memory trace gets stronger and more resistant to forgetting.
So it's like building muscle memory, but for our brains.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Are there any apps or tools that use spaced repetition?
Absolutely. Flashcard apps like Anki use algorithms
Yeah.
to determine the optimal time to retest you on specific information, which maximizes retention. But beyond techniques, lifestyle factors also play a crucial role in memory function.
So it's not just about mental exercises. It's about overall well-being.
That's right.
I'm liking this.
Exercise and sleep are crucial for brain health and memory function. So physical activity increases blood flow to the brain
Okay.
and stimulates the production of BDNF, a protein that's essential for neuron growth and survival.
So hitting the gym benefits both our bodies and our minds. I like this more and more.
It does. And sleep is equally important.
Okay.
It's during sleep that our brains consolidate memories, transferring them from short-term to long-term storage, strengthening those neural connections.
So pulling an all-nighter before a big exam is actually counterproductive.
Yeah, it can actually backfire. Sleep deprivation can significantly impair cognitive function, including memory.
Okay. I'm definitely prioritizing sleep from now on.
Yeah.
Exercise, check. Sleep, check. What about diet?
Diet plays a crucial role as well.
Yeah.
The lecture emphasizes the importance of a brain-boosting diet,
Okay.
rich in omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and flavonoids.
Okay.
These nutrients can protect the brain from damage and enhance cognitive function.
So we're talking about foods like fatty fish, berries, and dark chocolate.
Yeah, all the delicious stuff, right?
All the good stuff.
Think of it as providing your brain with premium fuel,
Okay.
right?
So, okay.
And lastly, the lecture mentions the importance of stress management for memory. How does stress impact our ability to remember things?
Yeah, good question.
Chronic stress can wreak havoc on the brain,
Yeah.
impairing memory and other cognitive functions. It can actually damage the hippocampus,
Wow.
which, as we discussed, is crucial for memory formation.
So finding ways to manage stress is essential for protecting our brains and our memories.
Absolutely. Techniques like meditation and mindfulness have been shown to reduce stress and improve cognitive function, including memory.
This has been an incredibly enlightening deep dive.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground, from the basic types of memory and the brain regions involved to practical strategies for improving memory function.
Mm-hmm.
What are some key takeaways you hope listeners will remember from this discussion?
I think the most important takeaway is that memory is not like this fixed entity. It's a dynamic process that we can actively influence and improve. By understanding how memory works and using these evidence-based strategies, we can learn more effectively, retain information longer,
Yeah.
and keep our minds sharp throughout our lives.
It's empowering to know that we're not just stuck with the memory we have.
Right.
We can take control and make it work better for us.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty cool.
It's like we've been given the user's manual for our own brains.
Yeah, and just like any complex machine, our brains, they benefit from regular maintenance and care, you know?
I like that.
The strategies we've discussed are like those preventative measures to keep our memories running smoothly.
So it's not just about cramming for tests or trying to remember where we parked the car.
Right.
It's about investing in our cognitive health for the long haul.
Exactly. By understanding how memory works and using these techniques, we can enhance our learning, improve our decision-making, and even, foster stronger relationships.
Because, let's face it, remembering names is key to building and maintaining meaningful connections.
It shows people we care, and that we value our shared experiences.
Absolutely.
And as we age, these memory-boosting strategies, they become even more crucial.
It's empowering to know that we can take proactive steps to keep our minds sharp and engaged throughout our lives.
For sure. So what intrigues you the most about memory? What stood out to you from all this research we did?
What fascinates me is the sheer complexity of memory. It's not just a single process.
Right.
It's like a symphony of interconnected systems.
It really is.
All working together.
And we're only just beginning to unravel all its mysteries.
Yeah. We've learned so much about the different types of memory, the brain regions involved,
Yeah.
the stages of memory formation. But there's still so much that we don't know.
That's what makes this field so exciting. New discoveries are being made all the time. And the future of memory research, it holds so much promise.
Maybe someday we'll have even more powerful tools to enhance our memories.
Yeah.
Or even reverse memory loss.
Yeah, who knows? The possibilities are pretty mind-boggling.
They are. Well, this deep dive has been an incredible journey into the world of human memory.
It has.
I feel like I've gained so many valuable insights that I can actually apply to my own life.
I hope so. Remember, memory is a powerful tool.
It is.
And understanding how to use it effectively can unlock a world of possibilities.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this episode, think about what resonated most with you.
Yeah.
What aspects of memory do you find the most fascinating?
Mm-hmm.
And what strategies are you eager to try out in your own life? Maybe you'll experiment with mnemonics or incorporate spaced repetition into your study routine.
Yeah, or maybe you'll just prioritize getting more sleep.
That's always good.
And adding some brain-boosting foods to your diet.
Yeah, that's never a bad thing. Whatever you choose, just remember that you actually have the power to shape and strengthen your own memory.
Yeah.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those memories sharp.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the intricacies of human memory.
Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.